We're done. That is KO Disrupts. So we've had 4 presentations. Again, a round of applause to Simon for Aussie, Rafaela, Fatima, and Julio for Code Checker, which Lisa's going to pay for. Chimera by Reem Hussein and, my God, Antonio. And Horizon Sailors by Walladine. Thank you very much. The judges, round of applause for the judges. They will pick a winner. The winner will be announced in the closing ceremony, and the losing team, as I said yesterday, will be shot in the car park. Thank you very much. There we go.
Is the mic on? Okay. Yeah, thanks for allowing Fernando and I to talk. So we've done a number of CSRs through the course of my career, and for me, this one is probably the most special. It's one of the most purest of heart endeavors, whether it's from the KEO team, the KEO support, the client team, just basically everybody involved. So we wanted to come here and share this experience with you all because I think it resonates really strongly and really well with the theme of the conference, and I think it also showcases some of the things we can do. So we have a lot to cover, so I apologize if I move quickly. I just want to get through everything. We're going to talk a little bit about the client. We're going to talk about where this project is, what the remit was, what our solution was, and then our man Brian created a super cool video at the end that kind of summarizes all of it. So without further ado, so our client is a gentleman by the name of Dr. André Mermoud. He is considered one of the world's leading ophthalmologists. He has spent, although I don't want to speak on his behalf, just to introduce him, he has spent decades fixing eyesight for people who otherwise maybe would be blind without his services. He has techniques that really are world-renowned and one of a kind, and he's been doing it for a while. And his goal now is to sort of round out his professional career. He's essentially liquidating everything and moving to Africa. So he's building a compound in Africa, and his goal for the balance of his life is to build hospitals in Africa to help those who need it. So we met him through KEO, and he asked for our help, and we'll talk a little bit about that. He put together a really strong team. So the guy's super organized. I mean, not only is he a brilliant doctor, but he's really forward thinking. Anyway, the team is, the financier, Mansour, was actually one of his patients. And that's very common with Dr. Mermoud. He helps people and then they become sort of lifelong friends. So he's the money. And then Buona is a local engineer. He's helping sort of get the project permitted, designed, drawn, and built. And then this surveying, this is basically the local government. And then another guy here, the director of operations, is with the government, with the city of Saly. So strong connections to the Senegalese government all the way at the top level. But they have a team that's really in place to deliver this project. So the project is in Senegal, as I mentioned. Part of the remit included some upfront concept work, and then there was a field trip that Fernando and I took. It was kind of a journey. We had to go up through Europe and then down into Senegal. So those who aren't familiar, Senegal is the westernmost country in Africa. It was colonized by the French a long time ago, so there's a history there. But and you can see the site. So there's an existing Visio center and then 2 adjacent plots that we're able to use. So Dakar is where you fly into, and then there's this little oceanfront village called Saly, which is where the project is located. Saly is essentially a fishing and farming community that's transitioning to tourism. So this beachfront that you see was reclaimed and rebuilt by AECOM years ago. But you can see there's a new hotel here, and they're sort of modernizing. So it's really fascinating because for us to be, the services we provide, you walk around these communities and there's a mixture of really old buildings and then new things coming in, new hotels, a lot of expats. Like I said, it's a fishing community. So the fishermen, they come in, they moor in this new breakwater that was built by a firm we won't name. And there you go. So there's also, for our insight, brethren, the baobab tree these are everywhere. This is the national tree. It's just beautiful. We included this just so you could see what it looks like in this area. It's just absolutely stunning. And what's really cool is these trees, most of them are populated by birds of every color. It's really just fascinating to see. And of course, there's animals everywhere. It's insane. When we were down there, there's a wildlife preserve that is it's amazing to see. We also went to a predator part. We won't talk about that. That was a little more terrifying. But anyway, rich in culture. So this is a photograph of some of the artwork that was on the side of one of those fishing boats. They take tremendous pride in how they present themselves. And it's just a wonderful community. You can see some of the local folks here who were waiting for their bus. When we were there, we walked, just to show you sort of what we're talking about. It's a sort of a mixture of old and some new. There's the doctor and I walking around. I assume you took that, right? Yeah. And then this is the existing clinic. So it's a very small clinic that the doctor runs right now. It's an eye center. And it's interesting. It's a new building, but this is when you look at the clinic, this is what you see. When you're standing at the clinic and you look the other way, this is what you see. So it is very much a community in transition. And this is the other side of the clinic. This is the entry view. This is a really good photograph to show because this is sort of the pedestrian entrance to the clinic. And this water feature here, it's not really a water feature, it's a water retention basin. So one of the interesting things about doing a project like this is that the project is essentially net zero by default. There's no infrastructure. So they have deep wells and they bring the water up and then they capture it here and then they clean it. It goes down through here, there's a cleaning system, and then that's the water they use for the hospital or the eye clinic and then eventually the hospital. They also they have a solar farm on the roof, so they try to do as much solar power as they can. Some interior views of the existing clinic. It's very nice, but again, right now it's geared towards ophthalmology. They're expanding, so they've built some trailers with satellite stuff, but a lot of this I think will go away when the hospital is added on to. And then one of the other things that we wanted to show you, it kind of shows the spirit of this group. They have this truck that they drive around to local communities on the weekends, and it's essentially a mobile eye clinic. And so they put a set of stairs here in front of this bifolding door. You go in, there's an eye clinic, you get your eye exam, you go to the back of the truck, you pick out your eyeglasses, and you get a free pair of glasses, and off you go. And so they try to serve as many communities as they can, and it's really, really interesting to see. One of the other things that we did, and this was really important when we got into this, is that we wanted the project to have meaning, like we always do. And part of that was using materials that were locally sourced, understandable by the local tradesmen. So they took us while we were there to a local brick factory. And I use the word factory very loosely. It's basically a building where they build these bricks by hand. It's fascinating. And there's no chemicals. There's no color additives. They get the color of the brick is derived from where they get the mud. And it's just really cool. They get the mud, they get the lime, they get the water, and they get straw. And they mix the bricks by hand. And they have these handmade forms. And they'll basically make whatever form you want. And in this case, this is one of the brick molds that they build the most. It creates fenestration and all kinds of other cool things for facades. But this is the one we looked at mostly. Wow. That's the doctor.
Very interesting. Yeah.
I think that's a good solution. So we just right there on the fly sort of created our facade language that Fernando will talk about. So later when you see the renderings, remember that image. So I'm going to hand it over to Fernando. He's going to talk a little bit about what they asked us to do and what we did.
All right.
Go for it.
Thank you. All right. So, as Darryl mentioned, the purpose of bringing dialysis care to this place. And the kidney disease in this part of the world is an epidemic. There is thousands of people that are sick and they don't have access to treatment. So the aim of the project is to design what's gonna be the largest the dialysis center in West Africa. Um, so well, we started the process during the summer, and at first the brief was a bit loose. The doctor asked us for a dialysis clinic. Then it expanded to a dialysis hospital. Then expanded to, okay, let's add a lab. Let's add a radiology center. Let's add a small car park, a big car park. So it kept it kept changing, but we adapted because I mean it's really a project with a lot of meaning. So we adapted, the team adapted to the design and the changes on the brief. So we went there in August, and we presented inside the the ophthalmology hospital. And as Darryl mentioned, I mean, it's a very nice a place. The doctor, he calls himself also, he's an architect. So he actually designed the place and had somebody, I mean, the Visual Center, and had somebody draw the drawing, the plans, but it was actually designed by himself. He sorted out everything, the furniture, facade, and he brought everything from China. So he's a very resourceful guy. So, well, we presented the design there inside the building, which was a kind of, I mean, you rarely have that opportunity to present a design that is going to be built next door. So that was kind of interesting. And also, I would like to talk about the team, the KEO team. We have the architects, the MP engineers, the structure engineers. And sorry, Darryl, I forgot to put you here. Darryl and her team did a fantastic job on the interior design. So let's talk about the solution. It was very simple. It was just creating a spine of life that kind of spreads towards the departments where the dialysis are being held. So, but the design drivers, I mean, when trying to attack a design of this kind, having the patient's health in mind is crucial. But not only the patients, the caregiver's health is also super important. These are the people that actually make the place work. Nature, as you saw in the pictures, nature's everywhere there. So healing, using that nature to help heal people is also a big driver. Dialysis machines might be noisy, so trying to reduce that noise and using, well, healing through noise reduction is important as well. But what we saw there when we visited the place, the Vision clinic, is that we were there in a holiday, and people just, and the clinic was closed, but people just kept coming, and they were standing outside the door. And so it's a community center. So the expansion of that clinic is going to be, well, a bigger community center. So that's a big driver. Oh, and of course, a facility of these characteristics needs to be efficient, and accessibility also is a big driver, because people they come from very far to get the treatment. And since the brief kept changing, for sure this has to be a future-ready design, because it will change for sure in the future when the doctor comes up with something else. So the site that I mentioned, it's two sites, and well, the interesting thing about this is just a side plan, but I mean the long rectangle, the government donated the land. The one on the left is actually the financier, Mansour. He bought the site for the doctor. So now they are putting those two together, and it's just 10 minutes walk from here. So it's a beautiful place. So we have 4,000 square meters roughly of site, and we are also utilizing the rest of the existing site on the north for car park facilities and some MEP areas, and then getting a little bit more into the design. The kidneys. Well, I don't know how familiar you are with the kidney disease, but some of the kidneys here are probably working very hard today after the last night party. So, uh, so, um, so yeah, we took that idea, the kidneys, and we try to understand how it works, right? So it's very simple. You get unfiltered blood going in, and you get filtered blood coming out. So with that idea, we just turned into the design concept. Basically, we have that lifeline that kind of connects us from the outside towards the inside, and the two kidneys become kind of the two areas where the departments are, the wards are. So we have two levels of dialysis departments, and each level has 8 departments. Each department has 12 dialysis units, and that's a model that kind of repeats. So it was critical to be very efficient because the site is very tight. And the other big driver is, well, using nature, as I mentioned before. So before we got into the design, we got to study what's the standard setup of these dialysis centers. So you start looking at several examples, and it's quite sad because this is a process that takes like 4 or 5 hours. You have to be sitting there for a long time. Most of the dialysis center, they have the chairs like looking at each other. They are not looking towards outside. So, and at the end of the day, I mean, if you're there for so long, you keep looking at a screen, basically. So we thought that having the nature that we have around, let's utilize that to have a human-centered approach. Just rotate the dialysis unit, the dialysis chairs, and have people look out and use nature as a healing element as well. So we went from the typical approach, which is 0% of views, to 100% of the dialysis chairs with views, with green views. So the result is this one. Is you can see here on the right side the visual clinic, and on the left is the dialysis center. It feels almost like a campus that you can just kind of meander around throughout the courtyards. And this goes back to how important it is to go to the site and kind of discover the brick factory that we did. Because before going there, I mean, you know, architects, everything's white, perfect, and all that. So we designed a white facility. But going to the brick factory and discovering how they actually do the bricks and how that, I mean, they have been doing it for hundreds of years the same way. So we turned that into this, right? So the design, after visiting the place, became more locally rooted. So yeah, you can see here on the right is the existing clinic, on the left is the new dialysis center. And it's another thing that we realized when we were there is it had to be like tightly integrated with the existing clinic. So because the doctor did a great job designing the clinic, so we just follow what we had there. This is what Darryl was talking about before. I mean, you have cows across the street. So it's amazing because you have a very busy street, as we saw in the previous slide, and just on the side you have this beautiful landscape. And as you go around, again, we try to open the building as much as possible to the views and to the landscapes surrounding the site. And just a quick look at the plan. This repeats in 2 levels. But as you can see, you have the central spine kind of connecting to the different wards, and each of the kidneys that we call it, it has that 4 departments on each side. The main entrance is, well, you arrive to the clinic. It doesn't have that aseptic character that a hospital usually have, but it's warm. It kind of welcomes you. Again, using like a very warm palette linked to the area that we're designing in. And also, it was important to create connections visually, not only from the dialysis chairs, but also when you arrive to the dialysis departments, you're always connected horizontally or vertically to the exterior. So these are the courtyards that we created in between departments. Every chair has a direct view towards the exterior. They look a bit narrow, but the site was very tight. But I can assure you that they work. They work. We did some studies on what was the minimum width that we could use, and for people to actually have views towards the exterior as well. And the public plaza on the back, where that central spine connects at the west side of the facility. That's another of the design drivers being reflected in the design, where the community gets together, and the plaza kind of opens up to the surrounding landscape. Level 2, which is very similar, which is always connected to the 16 clinic, so it works like a one integrated design. And the second level, this is one of the other pieces of a program that got added later on, where we have the ORs. They are actually planning to do kidney transplants in here, so we expanded the facilities to accommodate for that. And going to the interior, I mean, we used, again, a very kind of calm palette of colors and materials so people is comfortable inside, with the dividers to reduce the noise in between the dialysis chairs as well, and always looking towards the exterior as we were designing towards. Once you arrive to the departments, you're received by the nurses, and they kind of direct you to the dialysis chair, or they direct you to the doctor's offices. Nurses station, we have one nurse station per department, and they are always connected visually with the dialysis areas. And again, another view from the interior with that kind of calm palette of colors and materiality. When the night falls, I mean, the clinic is still there. It's kind of a beacon of the community. And I will just leave you now with a video that Brian put together, which is almost like a small documentary. It's very well done. So, because you'll see the doctor kind of explaining his vision about the project.
Project for me is a fantastic adventure of doctors and other staff who can be helping other people. The impact of this new hospital will be great, I'm sure, because today people don't have access. Many people are dying, even young people. They are 20 years old, 30 years old. They get renal deficiency due to infectious disease or other diseases.
Didn't do anything. Oops.
All the way to the end.
This project for me is a fantastic adventure of doctors and other staff who can be helping other people. The impact of this new hospital will be great, I'm sure, because today people don't have access. Many people are dying, even young people. They are 20 years old, 30 years old. They get renal deficiency due to infectious disease or other diseases.
Can you disconnect it and play it? But hopefully you get to see the video because it's really cool. But a couple things I would say. Everything you see, including the video, was done in-house. So for other groups in KEO, if we're talking about evolving how we talk about ourselves, this is the stuff that our team can help you with. Brian is a key asset. And I guess the last thing would be is they're starting construction now, so hopefully in a few years we can go back there and see it as a built facility. Thank you.
Thank you.